there! I have another story out of the Beginner's Bible. This story is about this guy right here. It's found on page 41, so 41. It's called A New Land. This guy's name is Abraham, and the next few stories are about Abraham and his family. So we'll be talking about Abraham for a little while. A New Land. There was once a good man named Abraham. God had a special plan for him. God told Abraham to move to a new land. So Abraham left the place where he lived. He packed up everything he had, his tent, his dishes, his clothes. He gathered all his animals, and he went to the new land that God showed him. Abraham's wife Sarah and his nephew Lot went with him. Abraham and Lot also brought along helpers to take care of their animals. But there was a problem. Abraham's helpers and Lot's helpers were always fighting. Abraham said to Lot, "Let's not have all this fighting. You take your helpers and choose a new place to live, and I will take my helpers and move to a different land." Lot chose first. He chose the best-looking land for himself. It had plenty of water and grass for his animals. Abraham moved his animals and his family. He set up his tents near the big trees at Hebron. God made a promise to Abraham. He said, "You will have so many children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren that no one will be able to count them. And all the land that you see right now will be yours." It's a pretty big promise. All right, so the next story is about Abraham too, so we're going to keep going. It's called The Promise. Abraham was sitting by his tent one very hot day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. He was happy to have visitors. He hurried to them and asked them to stay for dinner. Then Abraham ran to his tent. "Quick, Sarah," he said, "get some flour and bake some bread. We are having guests for dinner." Sarah made a good dinner for them. While they were eating, the men said a very surprising thing. They said, "Next year, you and Sarah will have a baby boy." Remember, God promised they would have lots of children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Now, this was surprising because Abraham and Sarah did not have any children, and they were too old to have a baby. Sarah was listening in the tent. She heard what the men said, and she laughed. She did not believe them. Then God said, "Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord?" And God kept his promise. Even though Abraham and Sarah were old, God gave them a baby boy, and they named him Isaac. And that's the end of that part of the story. So, God made a very special promise to Abraham and Sarah. But because they were old, they doubted. They didn't think God would keep his promise. But God always keeps his promises. And he gave them a very special baby named Isaac. So the next story is about Isaac, and we will have to